All right, folks. Sorry very, very much for the delay, but we are back. I'm hoping that you guys can hear us. Oh, it's saying live chat is currently unavailable. What the hell? No way. No way. Sorry, live chat is currently unavailable. Oh my god. Okay then. You guys can hear us? Oh, it's saying live chat is currently unavailable. What the hell, YouTube? What the hell? No way. All right. Well. No, we're live. We're live. We're live. Are we live? Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Sorry for the interruption, folks. We are back live. We're gonna. You know what? You know what they say? The show must go on. The show must go on. So we are going to keep on going because of these hiccups. Yo, I think they heard the entire conversation. No, I don't think so. Just what we were talking about. It's funny though. So yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry for the interruption, folks. We are back live. You know what? You know what they say? The show must go on. The show must go on. So we are going. We are back on. Because of these hiccups. All right. I'm just sending out the invites again. Yeah, yeah. I can hear us talking. So we are back. Yeah, definitely. All right. Sorry, folks. All right. So let's continue. Let's continue. We are where we left off. So let's continue. Let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about why studios fall and IP stall. Um, the the thing that really irks me the most is that when a game does extremely well, I mean, makes millions. I mean, they do a fantastic job. I mean, it goes with fanfare and all that stuff, right? But the problem is mainly with the I guess it has something to do with it's not doing enough for corporations. Like the corporations, when they put in several $1,000,000, they're expecting 10 times that. So they, for instance, PlayStation has, PlayStation 5, they sold like 100 so consoles, right? And the game comes out, I guess due to pretty much critical acclaim, right? But it does not sell, pretty much a fraction of how many consoles are actually out there. If you get what I'm saying, they're expecting a larger amount of sales for that title because number one, they spent the money on marketing, they spent the money on distribution, they spent the money on all these things, and they expect that investment back in return tenfold. Which is the reason why that some games, such as Bloodborne, and such as Overdrive, or better yet, the Eternal Darkness, which is another amazing game, are not getting a sequel. I mean, yeah, granted, it did get a lot of. Yeah, and Jade Empire, amazing game made by the amazing people over at BioWare. Great storytellers and everything who made great games like the Knights of the Old Republic and what else? And Mass Effect, right? And Dragon Age. Why not concentrate on Jade Empire and make a proper sequel? Now, I'm pretty sure they had discussions on just that. They said, "Oh, oh, wow."
now's the right time to do it because martial arts is big now. So
Yes, traditional martial arts have come back too.
Yes.
Everyone loves seeing it. Even Cobra Kai. We love Tang Soo Do now.
Oh,
exactly.
oh. I feel like that's the truth because now that kung fu, martial arts, modern day fighting, that right there is coming to the forefront, and people love that. They gravitate towards that, and it would
Yeah.
be an amazing opportunity to actually bring that lore of Jade Empire into the modern day with updated graphics, Unreal Engine 5, all the bells and whistles, and on top of that, they could even expand on the story. You know, add some
Absolutely.
add some extra DLC, maybe some DLC they put in the back burner, and they say, hey, you know what? Why not take these things that we kind of tossed out because it probably memory restraints, or maybe it didn't kind of fit in with the mainline story, and they feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can use that for something else. Why not take those assets, right? Bring them into the modern day, tweak it up a little bit, add it as a DLC, or better yet, expand the story on a side note. Maybe like a side story, maybe a backstory. Talk about some of the fighters that actually were there that before she came, and also her sister, who was there, who actually had the abilities and stuff like that, and it all yeah. Oh, goodness gracious, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. but but yeah, they can do it, but they just choose not to. They choose not to, and that is a problem. I really feel like they did doing a disservice by not allowing um, the game, the developers, or the better yet, the devs themselves, just use their passion to bring something to the forefront to the masses that actually love the game. They're always looking at the bottom line. They're always looking at the bottom dollar. Who is actually making the
Right.
profit for us? Which is the reason why a lot of great sequels get sidelined. I mean, for instance, take the Order 1886. Remember that game? That game that came out for the PlayStation 3? An amazing game. Fantastic game. Great story, very short though. And the mechanics were kind of weird, but they could have really expanded that story. And I believe that they had an opportunity to make a proper sequel to that game. But they never did. They just kind of said, "Oh, nah, nah, you're not gonna do it." You know. What's one more game that I saw that was in the back of my mind? I actually wrote it down. It was a shooter that came out for the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. Uh, what was that? What was that truck riding game? The one with the trucks and stuff. God, with the no, not Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal actually already got sequels. They actually got Twisted Metal 2, Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal Black.
Yeah,
So
so about 4.
yeah, Twisted Metal 4. That's right, I forgot about that one. That was forget. That was a game. That game was kind of forgettable though. Twisted Metal Black
Yeah,
was like,
3 and 4. Well, 3 and 4 was made by 989 Studios. That's
yeah,
why it was.
yeah. Those were cash grabs. But the proper one was definitely Twisted Metal Black. Twisted Metal Black was the definitive version of Twisted Metal. Fantastic game. Oh, and the stories, wow, woo, boy, were they dark. Um,
Pretty darn dark.
very dark. Oh my gosh, yes. Um, let's see. Oh, what was that? God, goodness, what was that game? I actually had that game in the back of my mind. They should have made a sequel to this game. And we're still waiting on Kingdom Hearts 4, by the way, which actually has kind of disappeared for some odd reason. They mentioned they were supposed to show something, I believe, during the Summer Games Fest, and nothing, nada, not a peep from the studios, from Square Enix. They keeping a lid on it. So I don't know, make it make sense. I mean, people, if they keep this game under wraps for too long, people are just gonna forget about the game. Maybe it has something to do with the licensing. Maybe it could be Disney keeping the cards to their chest, so to speak. So that's another thing I wanted to segue into that. I mean, that's we're talking about IPs. Intellectual properties are pretty much at the whim of the owners, which is the reason why a lot of games don't get sequels. Like for instance, Stranglehold, amazing game. You know, John Woo and all, with the great actions, the gunplay and all that stuff. That game, yes, exactly. Why not? Why not make a proper sequel, or better yet, a continuation of that game? Because there's so much story they could work with that game, and
It way got shut down. Like I think it was shortly after. And then, but the thing is, WB had the rights to all of the midway games, so they probably just saw it as doesn't make money. Toss it.
that's the problem. I feel like that um, the the studios that actually get shuttered, which is another shame, shuttered before they have an opportunity to show their potential. Like a game comes out, like for instance, what was that? There was another game that came out for the Xbox. Um, it was it's actually for free, by the way. I mean, you can actually download it now. I mean, it's you can practically get it for free. Um, what was it? Not Crackdown, because Crackdown actually did get three sequels, I guess. Yeah, well, Crackdown 3, I can't. I mean, I can't. Okay, there's a thing about Crackdown 3 that it really doesn't grab me. Hear me out. This is the one thing. The one thing is the story was kind of convoluted. It didn't really gel enough, and then further into the game, it did kind of explain, about the agents and how the agency came to be. And when they were talking, you could hear that, you hear the conversation, and then they were talking about the three gangs that they actually dealt with in the beginning. Los Muertos, and of course the triads and the and what was the other one? There's one other group, the Russian group. I forgot what it was called, but they explained that. Of course, they didn't talk about the sequel, which actually felt like more like a zombie apocalypse kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's one thing I didn't like about it. But it was fun though. I
it
mean,
was fun. No, no, don't get me no doubt, no doubt in my mind. It was fun.
there was some fun stuff we did in that game, or that me and my buddies did in that game. Ridiculously hilarious, like getting the helicopter and going mayhem on that. Oh,
Mm.
it was some fun stuff. But yeah, but the story of Crackdown 2,
Nah.
it wasn't that good like you said before.
Yeah. And Crackdown 3 was weird because I mean, the map was fairly huge, but it didn't have that same appeal when because you remember you could be able to listen to real music when you're in the car. And what happened was in the third one, it looks like they kind of rushed it a little bit. And what actually even made it worse is that technology that they were going to use for like the destructible buildings and what have you, uh, it never came to be. So that was something that people were looking forward to. They were like, "Oh, this is exciting! You can be able to shoot, pinpoint, and destroy buildings, and buildings collapse on each other, and blah 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 blah." And then when you play the multiplayer, it's nothing like what they showed because the technology went to Fortnite. Fortnite actually has that technology, which is the reason why that they do so well in their games. So yeah, yeah, that's that. And so Crackdown actually did poorly in sales. No one really has purchased the game, and of course, it's an exclusive that didn't really grab well, which is the reason why nowadays a lot of companies, a lot of developers are skeptical about making sequels because even though the fanfare is there, the sequel never happens. Um, what's another game that came out for the Xbox? I actually played it recently.
Total
Um,
Overdose. You gotta play Total Overdose. I wish that got a sequel.
oh, Total Overdose! My God,
That was great.
yeah. But you know what? It felt like more of a one-off. My opinion, it felt like a one-off. I mean, yeah, I would love to actually be able to get a sequel. I would, as a matter of fact, I would like them to actually do a continuation of the story. You know what I mean? Or better yet, a side story because there were some characters in there, and that you were like really interested in finding out behind. You
I got
know?
to use all the guns I saw in Desperado. I love that game.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Absolutely.
I love Desperado, and that game was like playing it.
Mmm. Mmm. Ah, yes, absolutely. Another game that deserved a sequel that really kind of. Oh yeah, Wet. The game called Wet.
Oh yes, I remember.
Yeah, Bethesda Studios. Listen, Microsoft owns, but has Bethesda Studios. They can actually revive that game. They can revive it. They can actually do a sequel. The ending was open. It was an open ending. Fantastic story. I love the gunplay in the game. A female protagonist and everything. That drinks tequila and everything. Actually goes into freaking frenzy mode. Come on, really? You can't go. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with a game like that. And the Saboteur, another great game, black and white noir type of thing, with little sudden hints of color for the dramatic effect in the game. Another one that another game that really I feel should have deserved a proper sequel too, because it dealt with that era. I think it was like the late 1600s, 1700s, or something like that. And I think it was in modern England or something like that. I think it was with all the gunplay and the sneaking around and stuff like that, and you can be able to go into certain areas, and you can do stealth and shooting people from the balconies and all that stuff. Come on, it's awesome. So that's another game that's another game to
I was about, this one game, even though I know Grasshopper Man does usually like to do sequels, but I would have loved to see a sequel to Shadows of the Dam.
Oh, Shadows of the Dam. Oh my gosh,
They
yes.
came out with the remaster a couple months ago. I don't know if you guys played it.
Yeah,
Did I show you? I think Tony. I'm pretty sure I did show you that.
I thought I showed that to you, and that's what made you play it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, no, because there was a remaster. I remember seeing the remaster of it though, because I was afraid that they might took some stuff out. But then I remember you showed me a scene that they kept in there. So,
I think I know which one.
yeah, I'm not gonna say, but players, you gotta go play that game. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but it's around.
It's entertaining. It's very entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think that was a really really fun, amazing game. Um,
Oh man,
and
one of my favorite horror games.
and I wish against wish that they actually have done a sequel to there was one game that actually comes to mind that I played that was made from I forgot what the studio was called, but they made a game called Adventures of Smiley what's it called, Comic Zone, I think it was called Comic Zone. No, Comic Zone from Genesis. Genesis, yes.
Yeah, that was dope.
Now,
That was a full game for horror though, but
yeah, still full. I don't know, full game,
very challenging.
but yeah, very challenging. But it's a game that could potentially they could make a side story with, because I mean I know towards the end, what happens to him and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome. If it's almost like you ever saw the movie called Toon World, called Cool World? Remember Cool World?
Yes.
Yeah, it was similar. Yeah, it's similar to that kind of thing, where he's an artist, whatever. He gets sucked into the world and all that stuff, everything he's created, and then then eventually he actually becomes a tune himself. Yeah, kind of thing. So pretty wild. Um,
The multiplayer one that never got a sequel.
oh,
Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighters, yes.
So much fun.
If they had tightened up the gameplay just a little bit more, though, that would have been.
It was still great.
It was, but
You got a sequel.
yeah. Or better yet, they could remaster the game and fix up the controls a little bit too. I mean,
But if it's the same guys that do Hitman, why don't they just
well, they could. IO Interactive right now is busy on making the new GoldenEye. The new the 007 game, and yeah, and here's the thing. And hear me out because I'm gonna kind of veer off a little bit, because of the subject. I had to talk about this game, this James Bond game, just a little bit. I mean, I had to be kind of the critical eye, so to speak.
Well, there's a lot of people criticizing the game too.
Oh yeah.
Just think about it.
I am not a big fan of changing the lore of what James Bond is. They decided to do that. They wanted to change how James Bond, is his demeanor and his story and all that stuff. Younger, more spunky, kind of action type of dude. Look, I look when I look at James Bond, I'm looking at debonair, right? Very very critical thinking. Always smart, not outspoken, and he actually takes action when needed. This guy, he's like another Action Jackson, or
video game himself?
yeah.
Video game.
Oh yeah, I mean it's so I don't understand why they want to change the pace of what actually works. Why do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then yet they act like this okay. They're okay with it. What's the deal? What do you guys think?
Oh, you know what you got me thinking of though? What was that 007 game? I think it was for the first Xbox.
Oh,
Nightfire?
Everything or Nothing?
Everything or Nothing. Yes, that was the first one. Yes.
And it was Nightfire too.
And Nightfire, yeah, Nightfire came out loud.
Okay, so it did get a sequel.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but those were more like third person type of game. It wasn't even first person. It was third person action stealth type of. Yeah, they were good. Don't get me wrong. They were great. I mean,
Another one. I joke about this game all the time with you guys. With a bear friend. That never got a sequel.
oh, you mean Condemned? You talking about Condemned? Condemned 2 was.
Condemned 2, but then they left you like it could be open for a sequel for a third one, which never came to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though the second one existed.
Yeah.
There's the first one, there's the second one. Because the first one was one of the Xbox 360 launch titles.
Another one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no.
I'll say the other one.
Yeah. I was just thinking about another game that they actually promised to actually make sequels, and that's another thing. I'm going to segue into that one, before we go into our next commercial break, because yeah.
I was going to say another game.
No, go. No, you know what? As a matter of fact, go with that game. You go ahead. Tell your game, because I have to go on mine. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's some people liked it, but some people didn't like it. But I personally liked it. I feel like the Splatterhouse remake that came out back in it was either 2009 2010 should have had a sequel because especially the ending and the game was freaking brutal. There was so many like horror Easter eggs in that game, and as a beat 'em up horror fan, and plus the great Jim Cummings does the voice of the mask in the game.
Nice.
Yeah. So that if you never play that game and you love beat 'em up horror, you should check out the Splatterhouse.
I missed out on that one.
Oh, I still have that game. I still have it. It's such a if you love the three original Splatterhouse games that came out, I'm pretty sure you'll definitely love this one. You'll definitely love this one. But yeah, that's it. That's it. The other game I wanted to mention. That should have gone to sequel. Come on, Namco, give it to me.
Yeah. That see, that's the thing.
Yeah. With the other game.
Yeah, they are.
This one got a sequel, but I gotta throw it out there. Finish Shenmue, please.
Wait. Well, Shenmue 3.
But they have to do the fourth. But the third game wasn't that good. Like, it still deserves to be finished.
Finish it.
Yes.
And have it, and speed it up to modern day and have it cross over with Yakuza. I want to see Ryo and the Omi clan kick some ass.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, they. You know what? I say.
Yeah.
I say. Yeah. Well, there's one. Okay. Here's the cut. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you gotta say something about Shenmue. Go ahead.
No, not about Shenmue. But go on ahead.
Oh no, I'm done. I already said the other game. Tony mentioned that he wanted Shenmue 4, so.
Yeah.
But they haven't brought Shenmue 3 to the Xbox. They should.
Oh well, they will. I mean, that's definitely in the cards because they did mention it. They said that Shenmue 3 is like being worked on, or they're going to port it or something like that. I have no idea. They mentioned it, I believe, on the X, and also I think they mentioned. Yeah, they did. Yeah, said they said they're going to be working on it. And I have a feeling that it's going to come. But there's one game that was a controversial that actually came out for the original Xbox as well, the PlayStation 2. It was a game called Advent Rising. That okay, great game. It actually had the demo of I believe Halo 3. I think there was a demo that was on there. That's right. It was a free demo. That's right. It was a free demo of Halo 3 for the Xbox owners. That's how they got them hooked. How they got them onto buying that game. That's one. Two, there was a so-called $1 million prize for a lucky. Yeah, there was a little contest that never came to fruition, which actually was another thing. And three, they promised two sequels, sorry, and that never happened. They left a cliffhanger ending. I finished the whole entire game, and I actually can vouch for yes, this game was looking for a sequel, and it never happened. And that's a travesty because once again, I mean, I feel like that most of the if you sit right there and you put that marketing behind something, you have to fulfill your promise whether you like it or not. Don't be overconfident and promise these things, and then all of a sudden, oh well, we didn't get enough people to buy our game. Oh, I'm sorry. We said we were going to promise you money, but not necessarily. It was like kind of like a hinting to the thing, I was gonna give you $5, but we only had 50 cents, so we're gonna have to kind of, yeah, an IOU, maybe in next decade or so, and someone picks up our IP and decide to bring the game back. I think it was Majestic. Oh, go ahead.
You never got a proper sequel, right? We're talking about proper sequels.
Proper sequels, yes.
Yeah, okay. Tenchu.
Tenchu.
they were prequels or side stories.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
You're
You're right.
right.
You're right.
You're right. Holy cow! I didn't even think about that. Holy cow! Ooh.
There may be other games out there, but it's not a proper sequel.
No, it's just different characters.
Oh boy! Oh boy! See that, and that it. You know what? I feel like that's the reason why. I guess the confidence to some of these players, some of these devs are low, and that's the main reason. That's the main thing. Um, yeah. So the confidence of making these wonderful games um, becomes extremely low, and most of the players out there who actually are looking for sequels are really just breathing into the air right now, and that is the sad part. And you'll never see it. I take for instance another game that comes to mind that I believe that a lot of people have been mentioning before. What was that game called again? Outlanders. Outlanders that came out recently. Um, no one really, no, a lot of people played it. It was like one of those obscure type of shooters, you know, online type. You can actually be able to team up and stuff like that. Very expansive, blah 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 blah. And a lot of people felt like the game deserves to actually have an expansion or even a sequel of some sort, right? Um, but it's never gonna come because I think it was Square Enix, I believe is the one that actually kind of backed that game. That never happened.
Don't remember.
You don't remember?
One in there.
Okay.
I've mentioned both my, I'm
The pirates who are out there doing the greater good, and pretty much just kind of fell into it because they were out there. They hoard other ships, and they fight against other clans and pirates, and you meet new quirky characters along the way, and your team gets expanded, and all of them have their own skill sets, and and you get to see them fight on the screen, and it's amazing. And of course, it's a turn-based RPG, so you'll definitely have if you're into like those type of games, I would say you definitely jump in. And does it deserve a sequel? Yes, it deserves a sequel. And they don't have to call it Skies of Arcadia. They can call it something else. They can really play around with the Arcadia name.
storytelling is phenomenal. The type of stories they can tell just by like text on screen, the character standing there.
And
What they can do with it today.
yes, yes. Sega's it's a very very diversified studio, and yes, they are. They really reach out.
Of course.
So let's move on to one more. Let's get one more nice little tidbit before we get to our big potatoes. Um,
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Let's talk about that was yeah. Don't mention her name. Don't mention her name. She might turn everything off. Let's let's talk about Vanquish and Enslaved. Now they made sequels of Bayonetta. Okay, Vanquish was not too far behind. Amazing story, great characters, The move sets are fantastic. Being able to slide and duck and cover and all that stuff with your mechanized suits and stuff like that. Being able to do slow motion freaking attacks and stuff. And amazing big boss battles and just things, explosions, and man, if you're into that heavy testosterone stuff, yes, it's up your wheelhouse. But never a sequel. Not even a tidbit, because maybe they felt like the story was over. But I feel like there's so much more to tell in that story. I wish there was a way we could be able to even have even a side story, or better yet, a backstory would be great. I mean, you already know about the protagonist, but why not the one who was actually kind of behind him, before he kind of turned traitor? What about that? I feel like we need to get into his story. You know?
People still love Vanquish because it's 9 out of 10 on Steam. So,
See?
Yeah. Hey, just what you want. Hey, make a sequel. Continue the story.
I don't know. I don't know if they want to even put in the time. I mean, they have so many new games, so many new IPs that are coming out, and then of course there's some that kind of disappointed. Because that was Sega's gig, so to speak.
I'll tell you what though, there's actually one game I would love to see though. I'm gonna sequel. I don't think I don't know if you guys played it. You guys ever played Mad World? It was made by Sega.
Oh, Mad World! Oh, love that for the Wii. Oh man, that game was fantastic.
The game reminded me so much like Sin City. I wish there was more games like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yes, man. The black and white, the art, it's just art. Blood is red. Yes. Wow. Good call. Yes, indeed. So,
If you guys have not played this game, there's people in the chat or I think it's Tony never played it.
No, I didn't have a Nintendo product. I've had a Nintendo product.
Oh, that's right. You never told me.
Yeah.
uh,
That's understandable.
yeah.
I did wish that game would have gotten like a remaster to come out on like the PS4 or the Xbox One. But the game was you had to use all those deep motion controllers. But there's a way that you can play that game just using the controller. They can actually modify the way to just play it by easy.
You know,
It would be easier to match to a controller.
I'm actually shocked that they didn't decide to port that game to the Switch, or better yet, port it to port it. What was it? What else was that? Yeah, Switch. Yeah, exactly, the Switch. I don't know why they didn't port that game, or or remaster that game, for the Switch, because you know how much that game would have, how many copies they would have sold of that game, you know?
Absolutely. Look at Bayonetta 2 that came out on the Wii U, and then they put it on the Switch. Look how great that game sold.
Yeah.
It came with the original Bayonetta games as well.
Yes, amazing. 3 was it was a mixed bag.
It wasn't better than 1 and 2.
That's another thing. As we move on, basically, like, creators move on, and then trends move faster. So, a lot of creators, they actually have these IPs, but yet they have all, let's just put it this way. Let me be like one of the guys who came up with Bayonetta, right? Now, Bayonetta was probably one of maybe 10 or 15 projects they probably had in the back burner, right? And Bayonetta was the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, because it was a very very good-looking protagonist. Had a very thick accent. Very, it was and the gameplay and the action was fantastic. The characters and the story and the protagonists and of course how she came to be. It actually they explained it in the story. Um, it was great, and which actually deserves sequels. But here's the thing: sometimes it gets a little stale and everything at the tail end. So what do? They say, okay, well, it didn't do well. I mean, let's move on to our next project, and then they kind of forget about that one. Now, I'm pretty sure they actually were saying, oh, well, I have this game Vanquished. Let's think about making a sequel. What do? They go after who actually made the bigger sales, who actually was the biggest fish. They went after Bayonetta. Bayonetta and Vanquish came out roughly around the same time, I believe. It was like a pretty much a almost about a year apart, I would say, right?
Yeah. David came out with a double pack with the 10th anniversary.
Right.
Game.
Right.
I'm looking at it now. I'm about to buy it.
Oh, there you go.
I got it for free from Sega though because it was Sega sent me a. Hold on 1 second. I'll show you guys. Give me 1 second.
Okay. See, look at Johnny getting all the free stuff.
I don't know who his hookups are, man. He finds everything.
Yeah, I'm.
Hey, listen. Listen. Sometimes I get lucky, but I don't get lucky all the time. Okay.
All right.
I remember Sega.
Oh, you're still pretty lucky
though.
Yeah. I mean.
Look at this. And then not only that, they gave me like the free T-shirt, and they gave me a free copy of the Bayonetta Vanquish 10th anniversary double pack. And also, I haven't even hung these up yet, but they gave me they got this exclusive this Bayonetta poster.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna hang this up one of these days, and then there's a Vanquish one right here.
That is awesome. You should get those framed. Get those, get them framed. Yeah.
I do want to frame them. I just gotta get the right size for it, though.
So
do that.
This is story. Yeah, I know. I know I'm veering off subject, but you can go to the Palisades and everything. Actually, get those framed, for a good price.
I do.
Yeah.
But but you know what? Actually, to all those people out there who've never played, I don't know how come you haven't played Bayonetta yet or Vanquish, but like I said, there is a double pack that 10th anniversary bundle that comes with Bayonetta Vanquish, so I highly recommend people get that.
What?
PS4 and Xbox One.
It's about $30, right? It's about $29.99, I think, for both of them, right?
It's probably down to like at least $20 right now.
$20, right? Yeah, $20 for the double pack.
$24.99.
Oh, let's see. That's not $25. Yeah, that was about almost there, almost right. So, so if you haven't played Bayonetta or Vanquish, you actually have a chance to play both. If you actually decide to purchase the double pack, it's actually available on Steam and also Xbox, and I believe also on the PlayStation Store. So, yes, that too. But let's also talk about Enslaved. Now, Enslaved, the Odyssey to the West. Wow, what a great game! Made by the same creators that made the infamous oh my goodness, it just blanked. What did they make? Oh yes. Who actually made the team? But Ninja Theory, yes. The ones who made that amazing game, with the goodness gracious, now I just bugged again. Oh yes, they made what was that game that came out for the PlayStation 3 with the red hair? Goodness gracious, now I forgot the name. Heavenly Sword. What an amazing game. Why that? Okay, now I'm gonna stop right there. This is a game that deserves to either A, get a remaster because it was only available for PlayStation 3, never came out for any other console at all.
That game should be come out.
Yeah. Now that
the heroin is 4 that's a good story.
Of course. So my thing is, this Microsoft now actually has the rights to pretty much, Ninja Theory and all their IPs, right? Why not bring that game back out to the masses, make it available for Steam, make it available for Xbox, remaster it or something like that, and bring it out to all modern consoles with all the bells and whistles. That game was so much fun. It was almost like a God of War slash, Ninja Gaiden slash,
Yeah, with the woman.
Yeah, with the woman.
Yeah, it was badass. I didn't care if the protagonist was male or female. I mean, the gameplay was good. I loved it.
And
that game, and I know a lot of people did not play that game because there was some people that didn't even have a PlayStation 3 because during that time it was pretty expensive. So,
oh yeah, especially. Oh, you might need a second job. Why don't you go get a second job so you can be able to afford it? Now, was it Kusanagi? I think that was the one who said that on the main stage or something like that. He said it during an interview. He's like, well, if you can't afford the PlayStation 3, you might as well get yourself a second. Yeah, he said that. He said that during an interview. He said if you feel like the price point was too high, then you should actually think about getting a second job so you can be able to, get your hands on this new console.
I was thinking of the other guy.
Oh, was it him?
The one who told this whole story, how he worked double shifts during the high school just to buy a game.
Then
I found out where this guy lived, where he grew up. He grew up in like Malibu. I was like,
yeah, he lived. Yeah. Oh, I have. It must have been a very hefty paper route or something like that because to be able to afford a game, Oh, I was able to. No, sir. You're not reading the room. Not in these modern days. I mean, really not. Jeez. I tell you, man. What else? Let's go to our last commercial break and everything before we actually wrap this up. Because I think we actually pretty much exhausted. We have one more game that I want to talk about because everyone's been talking about it, and I think this is actually something that everyone probably could agree on right now. So let's move on to that one, and we will be right back. Let's rock.
I want to go play Vanquish now.
Ha ha! Here we go.
Whoa. Color. Hey, there's an easier way to get color. Get a Game Gear, the full color portable with over 150 games, like the new Echo, Mortal 2, and Sonic Triple Trouble.
Rockstar Games presents Grand Theft Auto 3. Out now on PlayStation 2 and Xbox as part of the Double Pack with Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Rated M for mature.
All right, and we are back. Let's talk about one game that everyone's been talking about and everybody's been hoping for. All the PlayStation fans have been begging for this game to actually get it from software, a fantastic dev. You know, they actually did Elden Ring, still it's still revered as like one of the greatest it's like the Souls-like games that was ever created. It had high praise and also sold millions. Let's talk about Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne was one of those games that kind of it was critically acclaimed. One, it was one of those games that actually had a huge cult following. Everyone enjoyed the dark storyline, and the fact that you are a protagonist that you know can be able to change and evolve and get new weapons and all these just amazing boss fights and stuff like that. It's something that everyone's been asking for. Now there is another game that's supposed to be coming out, made from software that's coming out for the Switch 2. It looks like a spiritual successor. Everyone was saying, "Oh my gosh, they're bringing Bloodborne 2 to the Switch too," and it wasn't. It was something completely different, and and I feel like people just kind of got duped. You know, it looked, but seriously, I could have sworn, I swore up and down that the game was um, going to be Bloodborne 2, but it wasn't. So tell me why they just don't just dive in and create a proper sequel to Bloodborne. Anyone want to take the floor?
I don't know. I mean, it beats the hell out of me why they wouldn't want to do a sequel. So I mean, I can't say anything on their behalf. But if I saw a game that's like successful, I mean, smart thing to do. I mean, either you have other projects you're doing, it's either that, or people feel like now's not the time for them to do a sequel. So that's all I can really say, man.
Well,
Surely speculate what kind of red tape is holding it back, or what kind of money we need from Bob, how well it did.
it did very well. I mean, right now I'm looking at the statistics. Bloodborne actually sold, I believe it was over 1.5 million copies, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check.
Did I perform Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, let me look at the. Yeah.
Money on the table. 92 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Wow.
7 million units. Bloodborne sold 7.46 million copies. 7. That's a pretty chunk. That's a pretty chunk of change right there, and they're still so hesitant to create a proper sequel. I don't understand it. I'm actually kind of baffled that a game that actually does and can have a sequel or prequel or better yet even a side story, why they don't decide to say, hey, let's go with it. Let's make a Bloodborne 2. Heck, it doesn't even have to be the main protagonist from this one. It could be another one. It could be someone else that actually was a Bloodborne. They can do it.
Southwest director said it's all Sony games.
See, there you go. That's the problem. That's the problem. See, so because since Sony actually owns the rights to Bloodborne and its IP, From Software's hands are tied because since they actually they don't own the IP. Sony does. They only make the game, and that's the reason why you won't see that particular game on any other platform. That's one. Two, and even if they decide to say, hey, let's go ahead and go with it, so it's all up to Sony to say, hey, you know what? Let's greenlight this. Let's make this game, and that's it. It's ridiculous. I don't understand what the big deal is. So I mean, right now, look. I mean, on Metacritic alone, yeah, like I said, they have a huge. It's high. I mean, they have a high rating on Metacritic. It's 4.5 stars right now. It's let's see, we have at wow, 92 Metacritic. It's a must play. 8.9 on user score. That's nuts. And yet they still don't want to put their money where their mouth is, and Sony say, you know what, we got money here. Let's go ahead and make the sequel. I have a feeling that Sony right now is kind of lost their identity because they were so bent on making amazing new IP, right? Everyone says Sony has the games, right? But then they say, okay, well, it didn't make enough for me. You kidding me? I mean, they did a sequel for God of War. They did a sequel for freaking Horizon Zero Dawn. They did a sequel for Ico. You know, with you know, what's it called? Shadows of
Colossus, a remake.
Yes, and that too. Right. Come on, man. You know, I mean, and hell, they made about 4 sequels to freaking Uncharted. Well, 3, that's technically. 3 sequels. Really? Can we make it make sense? You know, I mean, that's the reason why everyone's, you know, just kind of lost their confidence, you know, when it boils down to sequels. And I feel that sequels, you know, are so far in between because, you know, devs are either afraid that it's not going to make money, or they're at the whim of the corporations that are actually that own them, and they say, you know what, no, it didn't make enough money for me or for our corporation. It didn't make the $100 million that we wanted it to make. So no, we're not going to greenlight this. And then it just falls to the wayside, and then it becomes a vaporware. So let's in closing, because we're actually running out of time. We have pretty much hit a lot of good points when it boils down to, you know, old games that deserve IPs, and there's a lot of honorable mentions, you know, that I can come up with too. That I compiled a small short list of titles that actually deserved sequels that never did. One of them is Eternal Champions.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that came out for the Sega Genesis, and then they made a second.
Also came out on the Sega CD.
And the Sega CD, exactly, yes, and that wasn't a sequel. It was more like a definitive version of right, and you know, that's one. Two, another game that I should talk about is what's it called again? Oh goodness gracious, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's with It's with Jade and the Pig. I forgot what it was called. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, yeah. It's like a right on the tip of my tongue. I will actually look it up right now. And they were supposed to make a sequel. They actually had a huge panel. Ubisoft actually had a huge panel about it, and they were in tears. I mean, the developers were on stage, and they were literally crying. Oh gosh, please tell me, team, chat, somebody, please, shoot the name at me because I'm actually gonna kill myself if I don't get the name right. Beyond Good and Evil. Thank you, thank you. My God, what is going on? They actually made a huge trailer in front of millions of fans, and the devs were on the stage crying, so happy that everybody had a good reception to that game. And Ubisoft, the 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 biscuits that they are not doing anything about it. They're not giving the funds, or something is going on, or they don't have enough staff, or I don't know what it is. I mean, they decided to make these other sequels that really don't matter. Like, for instance, the Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, come on. But I mean, seriously, that's what I'm talking. This is what I mean. They are actually trying to go after the sure thing, and it turns out the sure thing was not exactly what people were asking for, and they're wondering why they're bleeding money. Ubisoft is in trouble. They are in trouble as a corporation, as a dev, as a publisher. They are in trouble. And they don't understand how many IPs they are actually sitting on right now that actually deserve more praise than half of the garbage that they're actually spewing out right now. And they're wondering why they're not making any money. Okay? So, everyone's been asking for it. Where is Beyond Good and Evil 2? Where is it? They had a huge trailer everyone's excited about, and then nothing. They showed that trailer literally over a decade ago. They showed that trailer literally over a decade ago, and nothing. Zipped, zilt, nada, nothing, Nathan. They had nothing to show for it. And every single time people even mention it on X or on Facebook or on Instagram or any of the social webs, what do we get? Right now, there's nothing we can really tell you, or whatever, blah 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 blah. They didn't say anything about it being canceled. Probably it's in limbo, or maybe for the fact that Ubisoft is deciding, oh, we're not gonna give you any money for that. Make another Assassin's Creed, and that's it. So sad. It really is. Sad state of affairs. Oh man. So, you guys have any other final thoughts? Any other honorable mentions that you might think of before we actually wrap this up?
I pretty much said all the games that I said I wish they had sequels. So, unless Tony has any other ones.
Well, the ones I pulled off the top of my head, there's probably a lot more. We're gonna need a whole other show because we're gonna have to revisit this. Games are still being made, and there's still gonna be games that are gonna be seen.
Oh, absolutely.
That is true.
We're gonna revisit this again down the road.
Oh yeah.
You know what? We might have to, because right now, I mean, just judging by how the industry is doing right now, even though a lot of players out there are kind of outspoken, we have a very large voice, and our voice is usually with our wallets. So if they actually decide to, give us something that is pretty much beyond what we actually want, we choose not to play it, or we choose not to talk about it. We just leave it to the wayside, leave it to that wasteland, and then they wonder why they're not making any money. And of course, they either shut it down the studio, or they decide to lay people off. That's actually going to be a very interesting episode that we're going to be doing in the future about all the layoffs. And
Let me ask you a point.
yeah, go ahead.
This is what I love gaming players. This is the only industry where you feel like you actually have a voice with say, hey, that game sucks. Nobody's gonna buy it. When it actually is the way it is. And then, hey, this game's awesome. Everyone buys it. It doesn't feel like it was pushed on you or anything like a movie or a TV show.
Yeah. Or you have to accept it.
Yeah. It's very organic, very raw. Like the players have to say what goes on and what doesn't.
Right.
Exactly. And that is the reason why you, the players, have the power. You actually have the opportunity to be able to be the voice that's heard. And believe it or not only your voice, your wallets. You don't have to buy anything that you feel is not worth your money. Always do your research. Look at the title, find out the reviews, look at everything. And if it's something that you do not like, do not buy it. Because if you buy it, all they care about is the algorithm. They don't care about how you like it. They don't care about if you like the characters. They don't care about all that stuff. If you like the music, they don't care about none of that stuff. You know what? Because those right there are the devs, the people who put the heart into the game, not the corporations. Corporations care about one thing: the dinero, the cash, the coins, the moolah, the yes. Go ahead.
I also want to add, don't even hate play the game. Because that's a waste of your time. Know that you're not going to like the game, then why even bother playing?
That concept is foreign. Why would anyone do that?
But
It's insane.
Yeah, it is though. Exactly. I mean, there are some people out there that would buy the game and they will play it to show people that hey, see, I actually played the game, and they know the game's gonna be horrible, but they'll actually play through the game to show their viewers that this game is horrible, but don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? But still, I mean, they're the ones who are paying to play it, though.
Yeah.
Global thing to focus on.
Yeah, but you know what? There's some reviews that just kind of get show. Yeah, there's
Fun.
reviewers that does stuff.
Look, go ahead, Tony.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying that's crazy, man. I don't get it. I would never think of doing something like that. Hate play something? It's weird.
Yeah. Well,
That's why I hate watching.
exactly.
Why torture yourself?
Indeed. My suggestion is play the games that you like. Don't play the games that you don't. Don't buy the games that you don't. It is not worth. It's not worth your time. If it's something that you really don't like, just don't. You know, I mean, it's better off to play games that you love. Share the passion of the game, and and of course, you make sure to make that game grow. So hopefully, one day, the game will actually get the sequel that you actually deserve. But in closing, let us call it a wrap. Once again, a shout out to my wonderful sister Kiyama. Once again, happy birthday. You probably didn't hear most of the things in the beginning. I apologize, but I'm hoping that you actually get to hear that. I love you, sis. And I'm actually going to probably talk to you soon. So let's do a wrap up. I am Torrance Hudson, also known as Hud Zero. And of course, yes, I am. Yes.
Please, keep talking about these games so we can get reviews. I'm very optimistic. More buzz gets out there, they're gonna get made sooner or later somehow. Where you can have a fan dev company and make it like Bleacher Rage 4, boom. That could happen with anything else.
Yeah. Just keep putting your voice out there. Even tag your favorite developers and ask what sequels of a physical title that you like to see. Always keep tagging them. Let them know. Don't ever stop.
Yo, and mention me your games that you want to see this to.
Yes. Also, yeah. Please leave your comments. Leave your comments below. Leave your comments to the side. Go to the social webs. come tag us. You can tag me. The Torrent Hut Zero on the X. You can actually see our buddies right there. You got Tony San Miguel, who actually is known as Puckish. Sorry, what is it?
Rogue.
Puckish Rogue. Yes, MMA. Puckish Rogue 3. Yes, MMA. Yes. On the social webs, you can tag that. Yes, and Johnny Elisea, you can also tag him as well. Chat with us and a thing. We are just players. We're just normal guys. You can talk to us and everything. We're nothing special. If you want to play with us, if you want to hang with us, hey, please. You know what? The more players, the better. Also, if you decide to go to my Patreon, the tag right over to the side, you can see the little symbol right there on the bottom side of the screen. Go ahead, you can use your phone. You can go to the site right there immediately. It's only about $5. You can't really miss it, and then you'll be able to put onto our little sounds of treble screen. It's going to be going across the screen. And I appreciate all the players who decided to visit us. I really appreciate it. We had about 23, which is pretty much our highest view so far, which is fantastic until we actually got shuttered. But once again, YouTube algorithms always do that. So right now, in closing, let's call it a wrap. And let's see you next time on the next Gaming Trouble. Have a good night, fellas.
Smash that like button.
Indeed. Hit that like button. Indeed.
Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in, players.
Indeed.